Hello, Ram 55 here, and thanks for tuning in. We're back working the Tidewater route tonight, and we're expecting a intermodal train in from the west. We'll be following Phillipe as he drives a C40-8WYN3. It's got 4 locomotives on the head end of this train. Kind of mixed things up from what I had originally planned just to see how it works. Ordinarily, I was going to have CSX trains going to the North Yard at Tidewater and the Norfolk Southern going to the south. And I'm going to try now to think about having the trains coming from the west use the South Yard and the trains coming from the east use the North Yard. We'll see how that works. This whole thing's a work in progress as I play through it and we see what works and what doesn't. So this is a unit train with nothing but intermodal cars on it. Phillipe will be dropping off the first cut of cars into the yard, and then he'll lash back up with his train and depart to the east staging yard. So here he is coming from the west staging yard into the southern Tidewater yard. Again, I'm using my rail driver. It's a handful, a lot more switches and levers and things to control while you're driving the train. But as they say, practice makes perfect. Difficulty. I don't know if it was my computer or the recording software or the power director, but there was some real bad stuttering in the sound and in the video, and I couldn't figure out why that happened. It hadn't happened before. It generally runs silky smooth. So I apologize if it comes across that way on the YouTube video. But I did want to get this out. Hopefully it's not too bad. And the other weird thing is parts of the video worked just fine, and there were other parts where it was just almost unusable, so we'll see how it goes. So the small intermodal yard up at River Point is one of the major industries up there, and the cars that are cut out and dropped off here will be brought by a road engine from Tidewater up to River Point later today. Now, when I originally envisioned all these operations, I had times when I thought the locomotives would be rolling in, but right now the way I've got it working is as soon as one engine is done with their job, I'm starting right into the next, and we'll see how much of the day that takes up. Right now it looks to be about 11:51 in the morning. And to designate where I make my cut, I have that blue well car there. We'll disconnect there, and everything in front of that gets dropped off. So right now there's a little period in there where there was no sound and the video's real stuttery. I hope it doesn't come across that way on YouTube, but we'll see how it goes. hasn't done it like that before, so I'm not really sure what the cause is. So the conductor's thrown some switches, and Phillipe will back this cut of intermodal cars into the yard. I didn't leave myself much room there between that blue well car and the adjacent track. I was looking carefully to see if they were going to collide, or if, best situation, they would clip into each other. But I think there was just enough clearance. But that was my fault, because I was actually stopping the train from this side of the track instead of being on the other side where I could see exactly where that switch was. So my fault. But I think there was just barely enough room there to get by. Definitely a safety factor there. And oh look, we have a top secret military container. It's a stealth container. It is so secret you can't even see it with your Mark I eyeballs. And there's a couple of them in this train like that. I don't know, it's a 53-foot container on the bottom, and I think a 45-foot or 48-foot on the top. I think it's 45. But there's two of them that were absolutely invisible. And I didn't get any warnings or missing dependencies or anything like that when I downloaded that car, so I'm not sure what the deal is. In the future, I may not use the 53-foot container. I may just stick with like 48, 45. They come in a lot of different sizes. But that really does bother me to see those missing containers on those cars. Ironically, in that whole train, and there's quite a lengthy train there, those were the only two cars that I saw that were missing containers. Now, if it was on the top, it would be no big deal because you know they were there. But since they were on the bottom, well, it's obvious that they're not there. So Phillipe has spotted his cars to be cut out there at the southern yard at Tidewater. Now he's pulling ahead, and he'll back up, lash up to his train, and pull the rest of that intermodal train off the route to the east staging yard. A shot of the independent brake on the locomotive really brought that car to a standstill. I had to give it a little bit more gas to back it up and make the connection onto the train. Now we're giving Phillipe a command. He'll drive his AI train now off the route to the eastern staging yard, and off he goes. That track to the right there is the main line. It does not actually tie into the yard track, so if you had a through train coming, they would be on that track, and they would bypass the yard while the other guys are doing their switching up in the yard. So now we're going to run over here to Kenny. He's assigned to switch the southern yard here at Tidewater. He's driving a GP38-2. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, that looks more like a SD40. It belongs to the Tidewater Railroad, but it's an ex-CSX engine. Here I'm just kind of dialing the view down so you can see the train controls. And when I move my levers on my rail driver, it actually moves the appropriate levers in the locomotive. Now these yards here in Tidewater are huge, and quite frankly, I don't think we're going to get enough business to justify all that track. So we'll see if I keep them that big or if I cut them down to size. We'll see how the operation goes after a one-day cycle. I think that is a GP38. I think the difference is the number of fans on the top. On the back end of the train, a GP40 or an ST40 has 3 of those round fans on the top of the locomotive, and a GP38 only has 2. So I think that is a GP38-2. I wish I knew my trains better. I mean, I love trains, but I am certainly not an expert in telling one from another. This was a much better job of linking up. Had it down to 2 miles an hour when he made the connection, so I did not overuse the brake. Now Kenny is going to pull these intermodal cars, the well cars, from the southern yard over to the northern yard. The northern yard is the only way to get up to River Point. The southern yard doesn't have a connection with the track heading north. So Kenny's our man for making deliveries to the Tidewater port, and also he'll be responsible for transferring cars that are dropped off here at the southern yard up to the northern yard. And you get an idea how big this yard is, and we're definitely not going to fill this thing up. I utilize a couple different computers when I play games and make the videos. My super gaming computer is what I play trains on and Flight Simulator. It is state of the art. It's got a great graphics card, a high-speed processor, lots of RAM, lots of memory. And then what I'll do is I hook up a notebook, a portable hard drive, to that computer, transfer the files that I've recorded onto the notebook, and then bring it over onto another computer where I make the videos. Now this is my previous main computer, so it's pretty potent, but it's not as good as the new one. And you can tell sometimes that it really struggles with frame rates and stuff. I use this computer for my driving simulators. I play Race Room, which I absolutely love, Assetto Corsa Competizione, Grand Prix Legends, and American Truck Simulator and European Truck Simulator. So I got it set up three panels or 3 screens. My steering wheel, gear shift lever, accelerator, brake, and clutch, and all that stuff are on this computer. My other one is all dedicated pretty much to flying simulators. So here is the branch that you go either to the right and go to the southern yard, or as it's doing right now, to the left and goes to the northern yard at Tidewater. And once again, you'll see that this yard is humongous, and with the amount of traffic that the Tidewater Railroad gets in and out, we'll never use up that much of a yard. So again, I may condense that a little bit. Here we are in front of the old passenger station, which has been converted to Tidewater Railroad offices. We got a guy out there taking a smoke break, and we got another guy bending over to look at the track. I don't know if he's an inspector, just checking things out. But it's pretty cool, the animations they have in this game. So here we are at the far eastern edge of the northern yard at Tidewater. And Kenny will bring this cut of cars to a stop. We'll disconnect, head back over to the southern yard, hop out and take a little break until his next duty comes up. Now, since my last video, I made some more modifications at the grain mills. I also put in some switchers, some SW1500s, so that we won't have to take the yard engines from Tidewater and run up to switch the grain mill or down at the port area. We'll have some dedicated switchers to do those duties down there. I tried downloading some SW1500s from the download station. A couple of CSX, one Norfolk Southern, and there was another one I think called Harbor or something like that. But when I downloaded them, they did not work in the game. And they don't show up as faulty or missing dependencies, so I'm not sure what the problem is with that. But there was one that was in the base game that I put up at those industries. I'll have to look into why those SW1500s didn't work. And they were downloaded from, actually they were downloaded from Jointed Rail. So I'll check into that. And I don't know if it's happening on the YouTube. We'll see when I get it processed, but it was real stuttery there, and it has not happened like that before. Kind of frustrating. So Kenny's backing up to the southern yard here at Tidewater, and he'll just park it there until his next duty comes along. I'm just wondering if perhaps this video somehow got compromised when I transferred it or recorded it, because it is just very jerky right now. If it's coming across like that on YouTube, I really apologize. So we'll follow Philip as he parks his engine, and thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. If you guys would like, subscribe, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment. I would like to get some feedback from you guys. But as always, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.